Hello, everybody. I hope you're well, and welcome back to Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa. Hey guys, how is everybody doing today? I've got exciting news. Too bad I've actually kind of run the wrong top for this, but if you're watching the video, can you spy a new tattoo? Okay, so let me tell you guys about my new tattoo. So if you've watched my last video essay, I spoke about in there how basically this is the first tattoo. I actually hadn't gotten this tattoo when I filmed that video, but in that video I discussed how I hadn't gotten a tattoo in like over 5 years. And the reason for that is because tattoos just fell down my priority list. Like, I still really like tattoos. I still love the way that tattoos look on myself and look on other people. But it was like a much higher priority, when I lived at home and I didn't have to pay rent. But also I spoke about in that video, I'm not going to hop on too much because I know that a few of you guys probably watched that video. But also in that video, I discussed what it's like to have a tattoo that you don't like. There's one on my forearm. Also, I got 10 tattoos in the space of just over 2 years. And I got a lot of those tattoos because I was trying to find myself. I was really desperately trying to find myself and my identity. And in turn, I think I have a lot of tattoos that don't quite represent the person that I am today. But also I still like a majority of them. The only one to the point where I'm actually looking at getting laser removed is this one on my forearm. And I honestly think if it was on the back of my arm, I wouldn't care. It's just the placement. It's so big. I've already discussed in the video, so I'm not going to hop on, but let's talk about my new tattoo. So lovely researcher Leanne was getting tattooed and she invited me, and her tattoo artist Tash could squeeze me in. So if you probably can't see it from all the way over there, but I don't want to go up too close to the camera. But if you are watching, it says the word crush. Yeah, as in it's just a little crush, not like a thing every time we touch. Yeah, guys, I finally got my Crush by Jennifer Page tattoo. It's so beautiful. It's in cursive. I absolutely love it. The way I look at cursive now and I'm like, oh, Voicenotes font, but I just love it. It's so cute. I love the placement. There's not that much to say about it really, other than that I love it. I will say, I'm not quite wearing the right... No, I am wearing the right top for it, actually, because I could, slip and show you guys. There is going to be a whole photo dump dedicated just to this tattoo, by the way. And you know what? I get it. I had such a thrill after, the tattoo thrill. And I think there's only one more tattoo that I want to get, and I probably won't get it for a while. I want to get a traditional tiger on the back of my arm, and then I'm pretty sure that's me fairly wrapped up on tattoos for a long time, because I can't really think of anything else that I want. And I also want to prioritize getting this tattoo lasered off instead of getting new ones, but new tattoo, very, very exciting. I was thinking about when I was getting ready today, I was thinking about, how I speak about some video essays. Obviously, a sort of running theme throughout my video essays is, conversations about overconsumption and fashion and fast fashion. I always think, am I a hypocrite for wearing a different outfit in all of my podcast episodes? Okay, hear me out. So, I will say I do shop a lot. I don't shop as much as I used to. And I often now in my sort of commentary, I focus on shopping as a way to fill the void, right? And shopping and consuming as a distraction, and also constantly buying clothes but feeling like you have nothing to wear. I don't necessarily try to solve those issues, but I try to answer in my videos why we, for example, are constantly buying stuff but always feel like we have nothing to wear. I basically collect clothes, but also I do love all of them, and I feel she's so crazy, and I feel... Do you want me to let you out? Okay. But also two things can be true at once. Yes, I am happy with my wardrobe and all of my clothing purchases. I feel very satisfied. But also my emotions are tied quite a lot to shopping, where when some people stress eat and stress drink, I stress shop. So I'm trying to shake that habit off. But I have a lot of clothes. I have a lot of clothes from small brands. I have a lot of clothes from vintage resellers. And I just want to display, I record these episodes once a week. I just want to display my finest garments to you guys. I thought what we could do at the beginning of my episodes is we could do like a little OOTD, and I could run you guys through what I'm wearing and basically shout out some like small brands, you know, vintage resellers, and if there's anything secondhand, any sort of tips that have to go with the clothes. Because I get a lot of questions actually on like how to start shopping sustainably. And I will say that I am not a voice for like shopping sustainably, because I do shop a lot. Like the most sustainable thing you can do is not buy anything at all. But I'm very clued up on small brands, independent businesses, and like vintage resellers. So let me run you guys through my outfit today, because even though it's a little bit gloomy outside, it's quite warm, and I feel like this is like very springtime vibes. So this top is from Isabella Vrana. I will say I'm wearing a bit of a dark bra underneath, but this is a very booby top on me. So if I was to not wear a bra, I actually think this video would get taken down. I actually posted a picture on my Instagram story yesterday wearing this top, no bra. And let me tell you guys, the response was truly insane. I had people who ghosted me liking my story. Like, this is the insane work, insane. But I'm wearing this beautiful baby blue hook top. This from Isabella Vrana. So I actually went to a gifting yesterday, but I bought this. I got this same top in olive green and a little pair of pink booty shorts. But I did buy this one. Those were gifted, but I did buy this one. And I've been shopping from Isabella's brand for years, so I was like really, really excited when she let me choose out a few bits. Me and Ruby went, and we had a super cute co-working day afterwards. Like, it was actually the best day. But so it's this hook top, and basically you can hook and unhook it and wear it in loads of different ways. Off the shoulder, completely done up to here. You can wear it as a halter neck. You can wear it as a boob tube. My friend Ruby has this color, which is what inspired me to get this one, because I think it's so beautiful, and also makes my tits look massive. And then I'm wearing these grey suit trousers. These are from Depop. They're originally from Next, and they were really, really big, and I got them tailored. So now they're sort of like these baggy, like low crotch suit trousers. I love them. And then I've got my white socks on. I maybe should have put like a nicer pair of socks on that aren't like bright white. But yes, no, cute little outfit today. Shout out Isabella Vrana's brand. Shout out buying trousers that are too big for you on Depop. So what have I been up to recently? I watched this show that I need to tell you guys about. Why is nobody talking about this? I feel like they came out in 2022, and I feel like nobody spoke about it, and it is so good. So it's The Staircase on HBO. I watched it on Now TV, and basically it's about the case of, oh God, I can't remember anyone's names, but it's about the guy who was accused of pushing his wife down the stairs, and essentially nobody knows if he actually did it. Nobody knows if he pushed her, if she fell, if she was attacked by an owl. Nobody knows what happened, right? And HBO made a dramatization of the events, and I thought it was really, really well done. It has Colin Firth, Toni Collette, Patrick Schwarzenegger, Dane DeHaan. That's a face that I haven't seen in a while. I felt like I was running into an old friend seeing him there. And Olivia de Jong as well. She was really great. Sophie Turner. Like, it was like a stacked cast, and it was so good. Like, I was really impressed. The acting was amazing. I was really hooked. It's like the first time I've binged a TV show, because I'm like very anti-binging TV shows. I believe that TV shows should go back to the way they used to be, where we used to watch them once a week, like as a community, and then have a full week to take the episode in. I also went to my second bar class, girls, you'll be glad to know. And it wasn't as bad as the first one. I will say it went really quickly. It was still extremely hard, but it went very, very quickly. My friend Colby had his birthday celebrations last weekend, which was really, really fun. We just went to the pub, and then we went to Jumbie, and it was just good vibes. And I honestly, guys, I'm kind of in my era of leaving the afters at 3 a.m, and I'm kind of loving it. Like, I like let myself sober up a little bit. I drink a glass of water for half an hour, and then I get the tube home, which makes me sober up even more. Like, okay. And yes, I was one of the many people in the UK that went to go see Pitbull. So I actually went as Jack's plus one. I'm a professional plus one. And he went with Netflix. And honestly, guys, I don't know whether this is embarrassing, but it's actually the second time I've seen Pitbull, and every time he blows me away. The first time I saw Pitbull, I saw him at Madison Square Garden, and he was touring with Enrique Iglesias and Ricky Martin, and it was honestly so much fun. And you know what, guys? It's just one of those things where low-key, Pitbull is kind of voice notes core. Like the fact that he's so optimistic, turn a negative into a positive. I'm obsessed with him. If you're ever going through tough times, believe me, been there, done that. Like I am obsessed with him. Like, and you know what? I love the fact that he takes everybody was dressed up, which I think was just so sweet and fun. Like, guys, it was just wholesome. Like, I didn't wear a bald cap or anything, but I was wearing a shirt and black trousers in the spirit of Pitbull. But yes, I feel like summer is like beginning to kick off. I've got Glastonbury in a couple of weeks. I have all of my prep appointments next week, so I'm getting my hair done, nails. I'm gonna plan. My outfits are already planned in my head, but I need to like try them on and then also film them for a reel. The content grind never stops, guys. I'm kidding. It's actually really fun. Also, me and Jack are going to Albania in July, and I need you guys to hold me accountable because we still have not booked anything. Like, as in, like we've booked the flights and that's it. Like, we're truly going on flights and vibes. If you have any recommendations in Albania, please let me know. We are flying into Terrain and then we're gonna like stay in Terrain for a couple of days and then we're gonna go down to the south. So if you do have any recommendations, please let me know. Any tips for Albania? I will say I've like never properly booked a holiday before, so I'm truly relying on Jack for this one. But if you guys have any tips, please let me know. I honestly low-key get so insecure about how poorly traveled I am. Like, I know that sounds really stupid, but I'm someone who, I'm not necessarily a homebody because I am like a city girl, but I do really like my life and I like my routines. Like, I like my routines of living in London. I like that, like, in this city, I know where everything is. I know how the public transport works. Like, there is a vulnerability to going to a country and basically being a tourist or being a traveler. Like, it's like, and like not knowing things, and it's like makes me feel very anxious and very, very nervous. And, you know, I had really severe anxiety from the age of like 18 to 23, 22, and it like still comes out. And then when I was 23, I was sort of in a relationship with someone who didn't really want to go traveling. So I've just never really like gone on that many holidays, like not necessarily that many holidays. I haven't traveled. Like, I feel like I haven't like traveled like most of my, and the thing is, like, the last holiday I went on, it was sort of like a hotel vibe, and I don't think that's really my vibe. Like, it's nice and it's like relaxing, but I find those environments quite boring. But yeah, and it's like, and it's difficult because it's like when it comes to things like booking holidays and like planning a trip, I just feel totally stumped. Like, I feel absolutely stumped. Like, I don't even know where to start. And then I get like really insecure because I'm like, oh my God, like, am I being useless right now? But I'm going to book Albania. So if anybody has any recommendations, any tips, tricks, even Airbnb links, please let me know because I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Yes, this weekend I'm going to book Albania. That's what I'm going to do. I'm having a really, really chilled one. I want to have a chilled, because Glastonbury is in 2 weeks. So I want to have a chill, like, next couple of weeks. This weekend, I need to finish writing a video because I need to do a lot of pre-recording and sorting a video out before I go to Glastonbury. I want all of my work to be done before I go so I can let loose. So I need to pre-record some episodes. I need to write a video in like literally 3 days, which will be fine. Like, I'll just take my ADHD medication and like lock the fuck in. But my, guys, how cute. So my stepdad, so my mum is going on a night out tomorrow on Friday. My mum's going on a night out. And my stepdad was like, oh, I'm going to watch Heretic. And I was like, oh, are you just going to watch it on your own? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, do you want me to like come over and I can watch it with you? And he goes, oh, okay. Like, do you know what I mean? And I said to Mum, I was like, are you sure he wants me to come? And Mum was like, he does want you to come over. He wants you to keep him company. So I'm going to go to my parents' house tomorrow and watch Heretic with my stepdad. And then he's going to drop me to the tube station and I'm going to go to work on Saturday. Sunday is Father's Day. So I'm seeing my, I don't want to say my real dad because that sounds really rude, but like I'm seeing my other dad on Father's Day, and then I can just see my stepdad. It'll basically be like a pre-Father's Day celebration. God, the struggles of having two dads. No, I'm very lucky, but that was a joke. Also, thank you so much for all the advice on starting a dating column Substack. Just so you girls know, I'm cooking something up. And when it comes, sorry, I feel like this like intro wasn't very good. I don't know. You know why? Because you know what's really interesting actually? I've had like little life updates and stuff. Number one, I'm a bit tired today. Boots's naughtiness prevails. Like, she's not even naughty at night. It's the feeding thing. And I got one of those self-timer feeders and it didn't work properly. And then I broke it and then it's a lot. And she woke me up twice last night. Like, so I'm a little bit sleepy today. Also, when I take my ADHD medication, I can't sleep super well. So I'm a little tired. Like, I've got watery eyes. Like, all of my makeup is like really crusty around my eyes because my eyes keep on watering. And honestly, I've just been so like head focused on getting this video done and getting these podcast episodes done before I go to Glastonbury, that I have no thoughts of the week this week, which I would like to say is proof to you how authentic thoughts of the week is, because you can't force thoughts of the week. At least not none in my world. Like, not in my world can you force thoughts of the week. Like, honestly, this week has sort of just been a no thoughts, head empty kind of week. Like, my mind has sort of been taken up with like my work and just like writing, and I'm like having so much fun, like absolutely love it. But obviously I just haven't had time to like ponder on other concepts. Like, I was scrolling through my phone the other day to see if there was anything that would jog any memories of for thoughts of the week. And the only thing that I could find was like the fact like, this was not a thought of the week. This was just a thought of a random week. That Argos is truly like the melting pot of the UK. Like, Argos is like the cultural melting pot of this country. Like, I see people from every walk of life in Argos, and because everyone needs to go to Argos. Do you know what I mean? I don't know a single person who has never been to an Argos before. But as you guys can see, there's not a ton to expand on with the fact that Argos is the cultural melting pot of the UK. Like, what else is there to say apart from everyone's got to go to Argos at least once? So I feel like this intro was quite a short one today. I can't lie to you guys. But honestly, I am a little tired this week and I haven't had loads going on. Some exciting podcast episodes coming up though. I'm going to film an episode with Jack about men's morning routines. Me and Jack are also going to film a Glastonbury debrief episode, so you guys have that to look forward to. Absolutely buzzing. So in today's episode of Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa, we are going to be talking all about how fresh food became the newest status symbol. So this episode is inspired by my friend Zara, what Zara loves on TikTok. She did a little TikTok video about this phenomenon and I thought it was so interesting. I locked it up here. I took a mental note and now I'm talking about it. And you know what? As I was planning this episode, I realized there's so much to talk about that I am actually planning on making a video essay all about this topic, because I'm telling you, there's so much that I could have written about and said, but also I don't want this episode to be like super, super long. Also, like, it's one of those ones when a topic is like really meaty and there's like a lot to like dig my teeth into, I want it to be like really in depth. And like, as I've spoken about before, the sort of intention of this podcast is to be more of like a casual, candid chat with a friend. Like, that's the sort of vibe that I'm going for. But just so you know, if you are someone who you want to know more like in depth about this topic, I am planning on making an entire video essay about it. I think it's going to be my August video essay, because the one I'm writing for June is about reality TV ethics. The one I'm writing for July is about the Gwyneth Paltrow court case, and then the August one should be the one about food, which I'm really, really excited about. So what am I talking about? You may be asking, because I will say this was, I don't want to say a chronically online conversation, because chronically online sounds derogatory, but this was a conversation which like nobody in my real life spoke about this with me. Like, it was like I saw all of this discourse taking place on the internet. But we are seeing fresh food utilized in fashion campaigns by Longchamp, Hailey Bieber x Fila, with probably the most famous one that I've seen. It's the one where she's like putting her shoes on, she's like juggling loads of things, and then like all of these fresh fruit and vegetables is falling out of her paper bag, which, by the way, sorry, there's a plane passing by, but also let's take in the dramatic pause. Hello. Which, by the way, If you're an American who's watching, when I've been to New York, they always do put your food shopping in a plastic bag. But if you're not from New York, because I haven't really been anywhere else in America, do they still put your shopping in paper bags? To be fair, great for the environment, but what we have in the UK, and I'm wondering if it's the same in the US actually. In the UK, they now charge for plastic bags. And to be fair, we used to have our shopping put in like really shit quality plastic bags. Now they sell like the really, really thick ones that you can like reuse a bunch of times. And because they charge for them, at least for me, I just bring a tote bag. But yeah, no, I'm interested to know, America, do you still use paper bags for your groceries? If so, great for the environment, but that must be really hard. Like, do they have handles? Like, anyway, sorry. And it's not just in campaigns. High fashion houses, I think sure the phrase is fashion houses. Fashion houses have been embracing food recently, opening cafes and restaurants, cocktail bars, food pop-ups, restaurant takeovers, having their events catered, and the food almost being one of the focal points. The food is like very, for a lack of a better term, Instagrammable. It's like part of the event. At these events, the reason why at, influencer events, they make everything look beautiful is so people take pictures of it and post it on their Instagram. Booze. Excuse me. But also really popular content on social media is luxury supermarket hauls, like Erewhon hauls. I'm pretty sure they have, is it the $19 strawberries that are at Erewhon? I remember I saw in the UK it was trending to buy the £10 Harrods strawberries. And in general, there has been a rise of cooking content. And I think the most notable being Nara Smith. If you hadn't heard Nara Smith before, is she American? She's not, is she? She's German. But she's like a German-American influencer. She's married to Lucky Blue Smith, who was like the Tumblr boy of 2014 / like he's not YN, but like, wait, no, maybe he is YN. He was in like a lot of Wattpad fan fiction. Like you were the YN, like, but yeah, he was like the face of a lot of people's Wattpad fan fiction. And Nara's sort of USP is that she makes all of her food from scratch. And I will say, like, a lot of the content is satire. Like, she does play into the sort of absurdity of the content. Like, she makes toothpaste from scratch. She makes soda from scratch. And then very interesting, actually, she wears, like, really sort of outrageous, like, high fashion garments as she makes everything from scratch. And the reason why Nara Smith has been on so many, I will say I haven't heard a lot from her recently. I know that she's having another baby. That came up on my TikTok. But the reason why she was such like a hotly spoken about person last year was she was involved in a lot of like the trad wife debate, because Nara Smith is I guess you would say that she's a stay-at-home mom. I think she would describe herself as a stay-at-home mom. But she is first of all stay-at-home mums are working. They are doing the unpaid labor of rearing children and doing household work, which is labor, even though it's unpaid. But also she is someone she's doing paid labor too. She's an influencer. So it's really interesting that like people like Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm are seen as like the faces and like the almost like pinnacle examples of being a trad wife, when a lot of people fail to realize that they work and that most likely they are actually the breadwinners of their families. And the reason why I bring up the trad wife of it all, the trad wifeism of it all, is because I think that is such a large intersection between food and motherhood. Think about it. One of the most prominent unpaid labor that mothers and women do is cooking meals. And despite women cooking most of the meals at home, men obviously dominate paid cooking labor and dominate the, restaurant and food industry. So I think there is such a large intersection between food and motherhood, and I think there's such a large intersection between motherhood, food, and traditionalism. The topic of food in general is incredibly loaded. So much of food and our food and eating habits can signify our class, our status, our wealth, where we shop from, the tools we use like KitchenAids or Smeg, how much we hand make, the way we store food, how much we order takeaway, which is dependent on country to country. So in the UK, to be fair, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've spoken about with the New Yorkers that I know, is that, what I've researched as well, is that groceries in America are extremely expensive, meaning that for some people it's actually cheaper and more affordable to order takeout than it is to buy groceries and make a meal at home. Meanwhile, in the UK, our groceries, they have been getting, we're going to get more into it, but they have been getting more and more expensive over the years. But I don't want to say groceries are fairly affordable, because obviously that's like dependent on your situation, but they're nowhere near as expensive as the US, and it is cheaper to buy groceries and cook at home than it is to order takeaway. So it like really depends on country to country, but also whether our food is organic, what restaurants we eat out at, how often we go to restaurants, how healthy the food we eat is. It's actually really interesting that you can apply classy if you're rich, tacky if you're poor to nearly absolutely every social phenomenon. And one of those that I think of when discussing food is eating unhealthily. You know, eating an unhealthy meal but at an upmarket restaurant is seen as desirable. Meanwhile, eating an unhealthy meal because it's all you can afford is looked down upon. It's actually seen as a sign of your morality. It's seen as you not being like lazy or not looking after yourself. So much of like the politics of food is so driven by individualism. There's such like an individualistic focus when people discuss food. People so often refer to food as being a personal choice when, you know, if you take literally just 20 minutes out of your day to research into food politics, food scarcity, in like any country, you will know that what people eat most of the time is not a personal choice. And if you're someone who, that just because someone eats unhealthily doesn't make it a personal failing. There's so much that goes into deciding what you eat. There's obviously your class, what you can afford, but also there is a plethora of mental issues that come with eating food as well. But with this whole, you know, food being utilized by fast fashion brands, whether that is, you know, making restaurants and cafes and pop-ups. Sorry, I say caf. I know technically it is cafe, but I do pronounce it as caf, and I'm sorry, but I'm not changing for the video. Sorry, guys. But it's like really interesting, and honestly, it's like quite bleak. Like I very rarely say it's like a Black Mirror episode, but because like I feel like the whole world is like a Black Mirror episode right now. But it is like a Black Mirror episode where, you know, if you juxtapose these fashion houses utilizing food in their marketing, whether that is opening, you know, pop-up restaurants and cafes, or if you compare it to fashion brands utilizing food in their marketing and their photo shoots, like, you know, the Hailey Bieber X Fila collab, you know, it's really interesting when you juxtapose that with the food insecurity that so many people are feeling right now. You know, if you walk around a supermarket in the UK, butter is security tagged. So much food is security tagged now in the UK. And, you know, food bank usage has been increasing year on year for, I'm pretty sure, over 15 years now. Now, I will say utilizing food in marketing isn't anything new. Fashion houses have been opening restaurants for years. Do you guys remember that advert of when the car was made out of cake? This is like a British like childhood, like anyone who's British who grew up in the 2000s will know the advert I'm talking about. They make a car out of cake, and it goes like raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. They play that song, and that is honestly one of the most satisfying adverts. So like I still remember. I remember it came up on TikTok for me a few months ago, and I watched the whole thing in full, and I was like, wow, that has aged like a fine wine. But it's nothing new, but it does seem particularly buzzy and popular now, to the point where people are having conversation about it. It started discourse. So I want to get to the bottom of how and why this is happening. So you know that it is not a piece of Jordan Theresa content if I don't talk about sweet treat culture. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because I've spoken about this before, but if you have not heard of sweet treat culture, it is basically the phenomenon where Clinique reported this phenomenon called the lipstick effect, where during post 9/11, their lipstick sales actually had an uptick. They spiked. And it's been proven time and time again that low level, almost frivolous consumer spending on like everyday luxuries, like a nice lipstick, maybe like a nice pair, I don't know why I'm thinking of a nice pair of socks, but what the hell, sure, a nice pair of socks, you know, some nice skincare, some nice clothes, nothing like too crazy, but you know, that's sort of like low, or like, you know, little like sweet treat, like literally sweet treats, right? So a nice croissant, and matcha, like, you know, basically everyday luxuries, that sort of like low level frivolous consumer spending increases during times of political and economic uncertainty. As you know, probably the entire world, but I'm talking just from the UK, British perspective, that in the UK, we have been on uncertain economic times for honestly as long as I can remember. I don't ever think I remember a time where the economy was just like chilling. But like post 2008, especially post 2010, when the Conservative government came in, this country has just been on the decline, as has the economy. Nongol Dorapati wrote about the sort of fashion houses taking advantage of sweet treat culture for Medium. With the current economic climate, people across classes, working and middle, are having to tighten their purse strings essentially, and luxury brands are losing money because of this. No one can afford nor justify spending so much money on designer clothes and accessories. So people can't afford to make large purchases, but this is where sweet treat culture comes in. This sort of low-level consumer spending during times of political and economic uncertainty is part self-soothing, part I'm never going to be able to afford to hit the same life stages as my parents or my grandparents, like buying a house or getting married or having children. So what is the point of torturing myself and holding myself back, not living the life that I want to live just to save money when I probably won't be able to afford to hit all of those life stages anyway? You know, I should just spend it. So consumers are more likely to spend money on everyday luxuries. So this is where these fashion houses who have opened these cafes and restaurants come in, because these consumers, they can't afford to spend thousands of pounds on a designer bag, but they can afford and probably will want to treat themselves to a Dior pastry and coffee at one of the Dior cafes, or they'll want to go to one of the Gucci restaurants. And I actually do think, and please like correct me if I'm wrong, I will say this is anecdotal, this is just a theory, but I do think that a lot of people would rather spend money on an experience rather than a material good. So if you compare buying a Dior handbag to buying a coffee and a pastry at a Dior cafe, sorry, I can't believe I'm calling it a Dior cafe. I should be saying Dior cafe. You know, don't get me wrong, we would all love to own a designer handbag, right? But you know, when you buy it, you've got it, and then you sort of use it and that's it. Meanwhile, you know, when you want to go to one of these fashion house restaurants or cafes, you know, you're making a whole day of it, right? You probably go with your friends, you probably do a little bit of shopping before, and you know, you have like a really nice experience. I think a lot of people are beginning to favor that over buying material goods. And if we just stay on this topic of favoring experiences over material goods, when it comes to fashion brands and fashion houses utilizing food at their, for example, their influencer marketing events, whether it's having like really amazing food displays, or maybe hosting sort of food related events like supper clubs. I think the reason why so many brands are shifting towards this style of influencer marketing is because I think more importance and emphasis is being placed on experience-based events. I spoke about this before in my video about tattoos, actually, about how the British High Street is shifting towards more experience-based, I want to say experience-based experiences, but that doesn't make sense. Experience-based businesses, got there eventually. So the British High Street is shifting more towards experience-based business models, because they are the only thing which can't be replaced by online shopping. So if you walk down like a British High Street, you'll probably notice that there are more restaurants, cafes, you know, tattoo parlors, you know, laser tag, arcades, rather than shops, because people just would rather shop online. You know, from a PR perspective, audiences do favor watching influencers, you know, do something interesting, like go to a supper club or eat a nice meal, or, you know, even if we stay on the experiences, I've seen a lot of brands will take influencers to do like pottery throwing or dance classes. Audiences find that a lot more interesting than watching influencers open clothes or products which they've gotten for free. I especially think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I did literally just, to be fair, I actually didn't get this top for free, but I did talk about how I went to a gifting, so maybe I'm being like a tone deaf influencer. I think that like when we think of PR, I think we think of like excessive influencer PR. And I think that that's fallen out of favor a lot. Again, this could just be my social media as an echo chamber, but I do feel like I haven't seen like extravagant PR hauls like I used to see, you know, pre-2020. You know, I think it's become a little tone deaf, but also above everything, I think it's become quite boring. It doesn't grab people's attention like it used to. Do you remember, like, it was almost the novelty of it all, like, look at all this stuff I got for free, and you'd be watching it like, oh my God, I can't believe they got all this stuff for free. But now that like the influencer industry is a lot more of it's a job that isn't shrouded in so much mystery anymore. Influencers now, as like, at least in the UK, legally, you have to be super transparent with what stuff you're getting for free, whether a brand is paying you to talk about something. You know, the influencer industry is now quite transparent when before it wasn't. So when you found out that this influencer got all this stuff for free, you're like, but how, why, where? But now we sort of all just know. So I think that the novelty is worn off, but also like, I think that it's a little like, I guess it's a bit icky in a way, like watching someone unbox excessive amounts of PR, a little bit here and there. Love that for you. But like, if it's like loads and loads and loads, you're like, Jesus Christ, you don't pay for anything. No, I'm joking. But yes, overall, I do think that people would rather spend on something which comes with an experience rather than just buying a material good. And if you circle it back to sweet treat culture, you know, in our current economic climate, people can't afford to make large luxury purchases, but they do want to go and purchase everyday luxuries. People may not be able to afford a designer handbag, but they can afford to buy an overpriced coffee and pastry from the Dior Cafe. But let's discuss the utilization of fresh food and produce. Oh God, I said produce. Oh my God, I'm such an American. Produce, excuse me, England, within photo shoots and campaigns. So, you know, the example which I've seen discussed so much within this discourse is the Hailey Bieber X Fila collab. By the way, this can be my little thought of the week. You know what is such a pet peeve of mine? So many people, when they see like a, you know, for example, Hailey Bieber X Fila, they'll say Hailey Bieber times Fila. Because like, I mean, I'm sure like in America, you probably, or like in other countries, I'm sure you call times multiply. But basically like the X is like a multiply sign, right? But like, obviously it's, I mean, to be fair, am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I've seen multiple influencers say like, I'm going to the Hailey Bieber times Fila event. What? Are we multiplying Hailey Bieber by Fila? That doesn't make any sense. Like, oh God, that is one of my pet peeves. Like, and it's to the point where sometimes I feel like leaving a comment, but then I'm like, no, I can't do that. But how did we get here? How did we get here where fresh food and produce is now used in fashion campaigns? So how we got here is, for a long time, food has been positioned as a display object. So I'm going to be circling back to an old video essay I made, which I think may be my favorite video essay I've ever made, maybe. Apart from my sorority one was a good one, and so was my Hell's Kitchen one. But this one, I spoke about this phenomenon in my video essay about the cult of organization and the celebrity kitchen complex. So in this video essay, I covered unused celebrity kitchens, celebrity display fridges, and the cult of like organizational content and restock talk. So these celebrity kitchens and pantries became backdrops for content, if it was reality TV shows or Instagram posts, but also became content themselves. So some episodes of The Kardashians, for example, would focus on the sisters refurbing their kitchen or their pantry, or for example, Khloe Kardashian's organizational series called CloCD, which, by the way, as someone who has OCD, I don't want to smash my head against the wall. Yes, you know what, this could be a whole different topic for a whole different day. I am actually planning on writing an essay about OCD within the social media lexicon as someone who has OCD myself, because, you know, if you do have OCD and if you don't, I'll have a little ramble for a second. OCD is a very, very stigmatized mental illness. And I know that all mental illnesses are stigmatized to an extent. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that OCD is the most stigmatized, but OCD is like particularly stigmatized because of its representation in media and also how the language surrounding OCD has entered the sort of pop culture lexicon and a lot of people's sort of everyday like meme language. For example, the phrase "I let the intrusive thoughts win." It's in essence, for a lack of the better term, it totally dilutes what OCD really is, and it totally misrepresents what OCD is, to the point where most people's understanding of OCD is surrounded in sort of cleanliness. A lot of people actually don't know that intrusive thoughts is part of like the mental illness or condition, depends on how you like to call it. I like to call it a mental illness. That, you know, is part of the mental illness of OCD. A lot of people think intrusive thoughts are just something, and look, intrusive intrusive thoughts happen to everyone, don't get me wrong. But like, you know, people will say like, oh, I let the intrusive thoughts win, and they like cut their hair or like dyed their hair brown. When like most people's intrusive thoughts are about horrible, disturbing things that like keep them awake at night and completely convince them that they're a horrible, horrible person who needs to be locked away forever. But no, please, Chloe, tell me about your close CD babes. Like, this is what I'm talking about. People associate it with organization, that like, to the point where when I told some of my family that I had started going to therapy because of my OCD, they were like, how can you have OCD? You're so messy. We're never making it out, guys. We're never making it out, but it's fine. But anyways, that's a different conversation for a different day. But, you know, this organizational content, it wasn't really for organizing. It was actually for displaying, you know, to make a once private part of your home, the pantry, the fridge, into a display and, you know, into a commodified product. You know, and I remember the start of this was, I remember when I discovered Yolanda Hadid's glass refrigerator. I believe it was in a season of Real Housewives. Yolanda Hadid, of, you know, parents of Gigi and Bella Hadid, she has a see-through glass refrigerator that's like perfectly organized. And the thing is, this sort of organizational kitchen and food and pantry content from reality stars and celebrities, it bleeds outwards into social media. So organizational content, Restock Talk, blew up a couple of years ago, not only reinforcing and perpetuating the concept of food as display rather than for consumption, but perhaps even placing pressure on viewers to also organize their fridges and kitchens in this way. And also, guys, it's the wealth signifying of it all, you know, not only displaying, but the stockpiling of untouched food is a signifier of, you know, excessive wealth. You know, almost in a way, stockpiling untouched food just to display it, it shows that you've got money to waste. So through reality TV and social media, food as a display item rather than something to be consumed has been totally normalized, leading us to this point where now food is being utilized in marketing and fashion campaigns. But it doesn't end there, because I have a little theory when it comes to social media, because I think when a lot of people think of like social media content and influencers who do really well for themselves, the first thing that comes into your head is, oh, like it must be because they're relatable, because people relate to them. But I'm here to argue that I honestly think the content which performs best on social media is aspirational content. I think gone are the days of relatable influencers, low key, or at least gone are the days of relatable influencers who like blow up. Like, because if you, Zara, what Zara loves, made a TikTok about this. But if you think of like the really, really big influencers 10 years ago, their USP was that, you know, they were so relatable. Think the Brit Crew, Zoella, you know, the Brit Crew's American counterparts. I can't remember any of their names. Their whole, you know, USP was that, oh my God, they're just so relatable. They're just like me and you. They film their videos in their bedrooms. It's completely shifted from then, when, yes, there are so many influencers out there who are really relatable, who, you know, we follow because they're relatable and we love them. But they most likely are not going to be the influencers who blow up, and they're not going to blow up the way that relatable influencers used to blow up 10 years ago. So in my eyes, content which performs the best on social media is aspirational content, and food, especially fresh food, luxury food, restaurant food, supper clubs, that has now become aspirational content, which begs the question, how did we end up here? The short answer is the price of food has been skyrocketing for the past 20 to 30 years worldwide. I'm going to be discussing, you know, actually mostly from an American perspective, because what I've read the most about is how expensive American groceries are. You know, I think the prices of things in America are pure insanity anyway. Like, the price to get your hair done in America is crazy. And especially that's going to start increasing as the tariffs, when the tariffs, how do you even say that? When the tariffs start coming in? When the tariffs are enforced? When the tariffs begin? Please correct me. Please let me know what I'm supposed to say. But it's going to be mostly from an American perspective. But also I've got like a few little British things in here as well. And also obviously I'm going to talk about my perspective as someone who lives in the UK. Which actually reminded me a lot. As I was writing this episode, I was reminded of, so my friend Herbie posted in the group chat the other day, would you rather like have the food, the food prices right now stay the same and you get all the same food, or would you rather the food prices of 1965, but you only have the selection of groceries from 1965? I actually think I'd prefer the food prices now because I found out that chicken Kievs were made in 1972. Tragic! So just to touch on the UK, grocery prices have risen here, like in most countries, and of course it's not risen in line with inflation, because when has it ever? And honestly, I see the example over here, which is used the most to display inflation, is the price of Freddos. If you're not from the UK, and to be fair, are Freddos worldwide? I actually don't know. Freddos are like these little chocolate frogs, and when I was a child, Freddos used to be, I believe, 5 to 10p. So like 5 to 10 pence. And now, let me Google it. Let me Google how much a Freddo is. So according to inflation, I'm reading this on the tab, the price of a Freddo should cost 18p. But now supermarkets are selling them from anything between 30 to 50 pence. And one person even spotted a Freddo being sold for £1. So people often use Freddos as like to display like inflation in this country. But also, like, I saw a TikTok the other day of, I'm assuming it was a dad, and he had like his son on his shoulders, and he was talking about how he just spent a £5 on a flake, as in like, so in the UK, there was this ice cream called a 99 flake, and it was like a vanilla ice cream, Mr. Whippy, with a flake in it, and it used to be 99p. In London, ice cream trucks are like, you're probably paying about £4 to £5 for an ice cream. It's actually criminal. Like, this is what I'm talking about, right? Oh my God, someone said, how much will a Freddo cost in 2030? Oh my God, an eye-watering 38p. This is insane, girls. But also, and again, I don't know what this is like for other countries, but when one of my American friends was over, he lives in New York, he was telling me about how much he loves Aldi and Lidl. So in the UK, we have like budget grocery shops like Aldi and Lidl, where you can get a pretty decent haul for like a pretty good price. And my friend who lives in New York, he was like, I cannot believe this, it's so cheap. Like, we do not have options like that in the States. But Brexit significantly impacted the price of groceries in this country. To quote the Centre for Economic Performance, between January 2022 and March 2023, the price of food products that were more exposed to Brexit due to their reliance on imports from the EU before the referendum increased by approximately 3.5 percentage points more than those that were not. I actually cannot ever speak about Brexit. Like, I cannot talk about Brexit. Like, it's one of those things, because the Brexit referendum happened when I was 17, and it's like basically forever going to alter my life. And it's like, I didn't even get a fucking say in it. Fuck old people. Sorry. This is why I can't talk about it. This is why I can't talk about it. There were people that voted leave who are now 6 feet in the ground. 6 feet in the fucking ground. Okay, sorry. I'm getting annoyed, but I'm really sorry, girls. I think the thing with the Brexit referendum is that obviously any sort of political voting, right? Any sort of, big votes or elections, it's going to bring out some rage. But I think something about Brexit is the fact that this is just forever now. This is forever. Like when oldies vote Tories, of course, bad. I'm like, well, at least it's only 4 years. That's obviously a very long time. But, when it's something like, old people voting Tory, I'm like, well, we've got another shot to kick the Tories out in 4 years. Obviously now we've got Labour government, which, don't get me wrong, better than Tory, but fuck Keir Starmer, he's basically a conservative. But with Brexit, it's like, oh, this is forever. It's forever. And a lot of the people who voted to leave are fucking dead. They're dead. Okay, sorry. Okay. I'm getting very, very impassioned. So, in this country, I do obviously see people discussing the price of groceries because they are increasing, especially the price of butter. Like Lurpak butter is now security tagged in a lot of supermarkets. I also see people discussing the price of olive oil. Olive oil I think it's expensive all over the world. But something which I actually see discussed a lot is how poor quality the produce is in this country. Like, it's really, really poor. Like, I went to Amsterdam, I went to a festival in Amsterdam, and I got a baguette, right? I got a baguette with tomatoes, because we were staying on the outskirts of Amsterdam. We were actually staying near the airport, because that's where the festival was. Not at the airport, but near the airport. You get me? And we went to just this like little quaint little calf, no, not a calf. It was like a patisserie moment. And I got a baguette with tomatoes and mozzarella. And it was genuinely one of the nicest things, like one of like the freshest sandwiches I've eaten, which proves how poor the produce quality is in the UK. And that's the thing. If you want high quality groceries, which aren't going to rot straight away and that actually taste good, you have to start coughing up the cash. But the price of groceries is, sorry, I'm saying groceries. Groceries is just a lot easier than saying food shopping. Like we call it food shopping in the UK, but I'm going to call it groceries for the ease of my mouth. In the UK, groceries are around 28% more expensive than they were 5 years ago. And in the US, food prices have increased post 2020 and have not gone down. And it's interesting because the increase of food prices actually impacts public morale really significantly. And I think the reason why is because everybody needs to buy groceries, right? When I think about the most pain in my hip finance in my life, I immediately think of rent. And that's what everybody my age who doesn't own, which like vast majority of my friends, do any of my friends own? I don't think any of my friends own. But nearly most people, if not all in my life, rent. And whenever we think of particularly painful expenses, we always think of rent. We always think of so much of a bulk of our income goes on rent. But remember, like your social circle, it tends to be an echo chamber. You tend to mix with people who are like yourself. And I do forget that like a lot of people own, and a lot of people, when they're thinking of painful expenses, they don't think of rent at all. And they don't think of how high rent is when they think of like a priority that they would love the government to crack down on. A lot of people don't think of freezing rent because they don't pay rent themselves, they own. But the increase of food prices impacts public morale significantly because everybody has to buy groceries. Everybody has to buy groceries, and not everybody, but a lot of people feel it when grocery prices start increasing. So let's quickly list off some of the causes of rising food prices in both the US and the UK. So in the UK, we had the energy bills crisis. We had supply chain disruption due to the Russian and Ukraine war. And basically what happened here was a phenomenon. I mean, is it a phenomenon? I'd like to call it a crime called greedflation, which is private companies taking advantage of disruption by increasing their prices. So energy companies basically took advantage of this disruption and totally fucked and upped those fucking energy bills. I used to pay £30 a month for my energy bill. My energy bill is now £180. It is actually so sick and twisted. But also we have increased sugar prices. Meat packers are cutting back on their slaughter rates, which increases the price of meat. Bird flu actually increased the price of eggs, especially because it was actually really interesting, this article that I read about it, where this bird flu happened during migration season. So usually are they called farmers? When they farm eggs? Yeah. These farmers sort of nip it in the bud, but because these birds were then migrating, it was spreading further and they would like really struggle to sort of stifle it down, which again, increased the price of eggs. And, the tariffs, which is very interesting because one of President Trump's focal campaign points was reducing the cost of groceries. But obviously with the tariffs, a majority of fresh fruit and vegetables are grown in Mexico, and if there's tariffs coming in, those prices are going to go up. So not only are groceries more expensive, but it's actually even more expensive to eat healthily. So whenever I think of the sort of politics of, the fact that healthier food is more expensive, again, we could talk about this for hours, right? But I think of Jamie Oliver. If you don't know who Jamie Oliver, if you don't know who Jamie Oliver is, skip past this, keep that peace, protect your peace, queen, protect your peace. So Jamie Oliver is a British TV chef. He had sort of a chain of restaurants, and then they all shut down, and he actually took, to be fair, I don't want to spread misinformation, because my family hate Jamie Oliver because I'm from a family of traders, and Jamie Oliver did not pay his traders or his suppliers when his restaurants went bust. But obviously I don't want to spread misinformation. I've got to double check on that one. So my family hate Jamie Oliver. But another thing that Jamie Oliver does is Jamie Oliver is very well known for championing healthy eating. He did a lot of healthy eating campaigns within schools. Jamie Oliver is credited as the person who took away turkey Twizzlers and turkey dinosaurs of school menus, which, to be fair, I think making school menus healthier is obviously a good thing, but I'm not done. So a couple of years ago, there was this government, my words are not like finding me very well today. But a couple of years ago, there was going to be this new law, this new act put into place, which in essence, supermarkets could not put bundle deals on junk food. So they couldn't do like 3 for 2 on any junk food. And Jamie Oliver really championed this. And then this happened, this was going to sort of be put through during the 2023 recession. And basically the government backpedaled and they were like, people are having really hard economic times. I'm sure they didn't say it like this. I'm just paraphrasing, obviously. But because of people going through so much economic hardship, they decided to backpedal on it. And I don't know whether they put the brakes on it or whether they decided to reverse it completely. And Jamie Oliver was not happy about this. And in fact, he went to a protest about this. I think he might have actually organized the protest. And, the thing is with Jamie Oliver, and I would like to say that he's preaching all of this in his in his probably multiple houses, which are worth millions of fucking pounds, is that Jamie Oliver's answer to the fact that unhealthy food is more inexpensive than healthy food, his answer is to make unhealthy food more expensive, not to make healthy food less expensive. Get fucked. Jamie Oliver, and this is what goes through these people's heads, is they're like, well, we must make unhealthy food as expensive as healthy food. And it's like, no. But so not only is it more expensive to buy healthier food, but a lot of people do avoid buying fresh food because they're worried about wasting it. So much fresh produce goes to waste and goes off. And even if you plan your meals meticulously, you could end up going out one night, you could come in late from work one day and be like, I just want to have a bowl of cereal and go to bed. Also, a lot of food goes really rotten really, really quickly in the UK. And I actually think this is where we can start talking about almost like the trad wife of it all, Nara Smith, cooking things from scratch, cottagecore, the romanticization of being, self-sufficient and eating organically, and again, making things from scratch. We can tie this in to not only rising grocery prices, but we can also in the UK tie this to the energy crisis, where I can totally see the appeal of being self-sufficient, because we can't predict how much grocery prices are going to rise. Something like the energy crisis could come up. And it was during times like these, especially during the energy crisis, the government completely turned their backs on us. So I can see why so many people really see the appeal and really desire being able to be self-sufficient, so they don't have to rely so much on outside forces like the government, the incompetence of the government to live and to eat and to cook. And as I mentioned earlier, content which performs the best on social media is content which is aspirational. And not only is being able to afford fresh groceries very aspirational, but we have less spare time than ever. We are working more than we ever had before, especially if you're someone who has children. It's now to sustain just a family with one child, you need to be a double income household. So not only are you working, but you're also doing the unpaid labor of child rearing and also household labor. So having the spare time not only to cook, but also having the spare time to be self-sufficient is also aspirational. I'm definitely going to get more into trad wives in my video essay, because I actually think the tie between trad wives and food being a luxury and becoming a status symbol, they are so tightly intertwined with one another. I could honestly talk about it all day, but I'm going to save that for the video. So to conclude, brands have started incorporating food into their marketing because after years of food being seen as a display item rather than something to be consumed, which was through celebrity kitchen and fridge content, restocking content on social media, brands have also been taking advantage of sweet treat culture and the shift to everyday luxuries, and fresh food became the newest status symbol because of the rising prices of groceries, alongside with having the luxury of having spare time to cook, and especially cooking with organic food and from scratch. And not only brands, but influencers are taking advantage of fresh food, holding this new power and status because aspirational content performs the best on social media. Wow, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I was feeling a little bit tired, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm feeling like a little more awake now, but I feel like I'm in a little bit of a haze. I recorded that episode in a little bit of a haze, but I would love to know you guys' thoughts because I thought this is such an interesting topic. And yes, I will see you next week for a new episode.